Owning a business instantly separates you from the average person, not because it is easy, but because it forces you to operate at a completely different level. The moment you step into ownership, you stop thinking about survival and start thinking about expansion. And that shift alone puts you miles ahead of those who are still waiting for opportunities. Instead of creating them, most people live in a cycle of predictable effort and predictable results. They trade time for money and hope that consistency alone will eventually change their lives. But when you own a business, you break that cycle. You step into a world where results are not limited by hours, but amplified by decisions. And that is where the real gap begins to form. At first, it feels uncomfortable. There is no guaranteed income, no clear instructions, no safety net, just pressure and responsibility. But that pressure is exactly what builds an edge, because while others avoid uncertainty, you learn to navigate it. While others hesitate, you act. And over time, those small differences compound into massive separation. You begin to think differently. Instead of asking how much you can earn today, you start asking how to build something that earns tomorrow without you. Instead of focusing on tasks, you focus on systems. Instead of working harder, you start working smarter. And that mindset alone is what places business owners far ahead of the average path. Every challenge becomes training, every failure becomes feedback, and every win becomes leverage. Because in business, nothing is wasted. Everything teaches you how to move faster, think clearer, and execute better. And that constant evolution is something most people never experience in a fixed environment. You also gain a new perspective on value. You realize that money follows solutions, that scale comes from impact, and that the bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the reward becomes. And once you understand this, you stop chasing small wins and start building something that can grow far beyond your personal effort. Over time, the gap becomes impossible to ignore, while the average person is limited by time and structure. You are building assets, systems, and opportunities that expand without limits, and that difference compounds daily, turning months into momentum and years into exponential growth. Your confidence changes because you are no longer guessing what is possible. You are proving it to yourself through action. You see firsthand that results come from decisions, not luck, and that belief gives you an advantage that most people never develop. Even your environment starts to shift. You connect with people who think bigger, move faster, and expect more, because once you operate at a higher level, you naturally align with others who do the same. And that network alone accelerates your progress even further. And eventually you realize that being ahead is not about comparing yourself to others. It is about who you are becoming in the process. More disciplined, more aware, more capable, and more in control of your direction. And that transformation is what truly separates business owners from the average. This is why owning a business puts you miles ahead. It is not just about income. It is about growth, leverage, and perspective. It is about stepping into a role where you are no longer limited by the system, but building your own. And once you experience that level of control and expansion, there is no going back, because average no longer feels acceptable when you have seen what is possible.